This week on What's the Data, we're going to dive into some Q4 insights that's going to help you guys sell more and master these markets. As always, we're going to do a coin flip to see if we're starting on the bad or the good. I'm here with Evan, our pipeline manager. I'm Ben, one of the owners here at Team Sunshine. And Evan, heads.
Yeah, heads is good for me.
Heads good?
Yeah.
Tails bad?
Let's see.
Starting with the bad.
Starting with the bad. All right.
Lead us off.
Okay, so with the bad, what we got here for our market insights for Q4, right? That's September to December of all the jobs that were installed and completed, right? We ran some numbers. We broke it down by market. We broke it down even by the specific financiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and what stood out to me the most in the data was Posigen, right? Everyone loves Posigen. It's our no credit check option. It's super great, especially when you have someone that's failing credit, but you want to just get those deals in, right?
Yep.
So Posigen's a huge deal. We see a lot of volume with it, especially in today's market. But what we saw was 55% of the projects that took over 60 days to install were Posigen. And so we took a little deeper dive into seeing what caused those delays, right? Because ideally we want to hit that sweet spot around 45 days,
Yep.
right? Especially with where we are, we're experienced, we know what we're doing. So anything that's over 60 days starts throwing a little bit of a red flag.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
So what we saw was, again, the 55% going over 60 days. We took that deeper dive, and what we saw was that we either didn't have a clean submission, or it went into, what's the word for it? Not like the complex applications with utilities, right?
Okay.
So, our infrastructure is from the 1940s.
Yeah.
Right. So these larger systems, sometimes they go into these complex applications where it takes additional time for them to review to see if a transformer upgrade is going to be necessary. With National Grid, we see that can take up to 5 weeks for them to complete that review. I've talked with that department directly over at National Grid. They only have 6 guys. And between the 6 guys, they had 19,000 applications in all of 2024 alone.
So they're doing some volume.
They're doing some volume, yeah.
Okay. So just to note also, the new Posigen training that we did, that Tala and Evan did for you guys, will be live, so we can send that out to you guys. So you guys can really understand some of the pitfalls for making sure you have success with Posigen and making sure those deals move forward. Basically, so what we're seeing in summary is Posigen is very popular right now, but you need to make sure you focus on the deal submission to make sure those projects are installed in 45 days or less.
Yeah, because every salesperson that we see do Posigen, their first 1 to 3 deals, they're still getting the hang of it because there's a lot of different nuances that don't go with your typical sales that Posigen requires to get their NTP, that notice to proceed.
Yes.
So that's really important because, again, through any finance, through any market, that number one thing that we see delay we see for projects is because it wasn't a clean deal submission.
Yep.
It didn't have the banking information provided. It didn't have the social security number. A lot of people get thrown off because they hear, it's a no credit check. And they don't think a social is going to be required. They get the deal signed, and then they submit it, and it's like, we got to chase down a social from someone.
Gotcha.
Right? And you have sales experience, I have sales experience.
Totally.
We all know that once you leave the house or once you end that appointment, getting any additional documents after the fact can take forever.
So listen, guys, if you want to sell Posigen in these markets, make sure you do not leave the home or get off that Zoom call without making sure you have everything that's needed. We put together a comprehensive checklist that is interactive from top to bottom, everything you need to make sure when you walk out of that appointment, you have everything you need to make sure your Posigen deal is moving through the pipeline fast and we're getting it installed under 45 days.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, our team has taken so much effort into creating a resource page that gives you information on every market, every utility, every financer. So please use the resource page that we made. It's going to make it an easier time. Not only that, but you have the chats available to you. Our account managers are ready to assist. They want to see you succeed. They want it. Anytime something goes wrong, we talk about it with the account managers. They're getting themselves stressed out because they want to get these deals progressed, but they're held up because they're missing one specific thing that's needed for NTP. And that's going to be our biggest holdup when we're seeing that Posigen deal. So
as a professional. Get it done. 100%. Be a finisher. There's not a deal there until you have 100% of the things needed for us to move it forward. We'll move it forward fast.
Yeah.
Evan knows every single thing in our pipeline moves incredibly fast unless there's something that we need from you or for the customer. We can only help so much.
Absolutely.
So, cool.
Absolutely.
What's next?
I mean, so like there are two other things that I want to hit on the bad that are kind of important. So one of the recent changes that we saw back in mid-November was that the city of Brockton, Massachusetts, they started requiring a pre-inspection before they release the solar permits. So like for installers like us, it's a good thing because we don't want to install a system and have something unrelated to solar block it from passing inspections. You can't get the system turned on. Everyone's unhappy.
Like what? Like a unfinished basement?
Illegal basements, right?
Illegal basements. That's the
thing. You see that more and more, especially in today's world. People are like trying to find other sources of income. So, they finish their basement up real quick, make it an apartment, start renting it out.
Yep, permits.
No permits, and all of a sudden, specifically the city of Brockton has everything against that, and they want to make sure that all that stuff is, legal. They don't want to be liable for anything that could go wrong from people doing DIY electrical or DIY plumbing. So they take the time to actually schedule a physical pre-inspection before they release our solar permits. And what we see is we're running into delays when there is an illegal basement because now this homeowner is stuck trying to figure out how to get this stuff permitted and how to get this past inspection, because that stuff has to happen in order for the city to release, the solar permits for us.
Totally.
Yeah. So
basically, if you're selling in Brockton, and there's some other towns too, if you want to speak to some of those other towns, but if you're selling in Brockton specifically, make sure, really any town, make sure that you're asking and or maybe taking a trip down to their basement, taking a look around and making sure there's not an illegal apartment down there. It really does it makes the job very complicated, especially when we start to get the inspectors and the permits and everything involved. It can really delay the project.
Yep. Makes a big headache. We want to just avoid that. And then the last thing I want to touch is with National Grid. There are 3 cities where there are certain areas where they're leading right to the substation, and those substations are overloaded. So they have been blacked out. Everything goes on hold there due to a substation overload.
Okay.
And those 3 cities, guess what? Brockton again.
Brockton, yeah.
Unfortunately, right? Like, I'm not trying to say avoid Brockton, right? Just be aware of all these things that can happen because Brockton is a great market. But then you also have Lynn and Worcester.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And Worcester's a big one, and Lynn too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we actually got the maps of those specific streets and those specific areas in those towns where it's blacked out. We'll get those uploaded on the resource page. Again, visit that resource page because it's going to have the information you need in order to be successful. And that's super important.
Yep.
Right.
Or reach out to your account manager. They'll send you that map directly.
Yep. But yeah, these substation overloads, we work really close with National Grid. I have a couple good buddies over there. And, it doesn't matter how many projects they have on hold there. Substations, when you're trying to upgrade these things, it costs millions of dollars. Yep. It takes years of actual electrical engineering and planning to go into it. And, they told us, don't expect it to, free up anytime soon.
Cool. That's a huge one. So obviously, like Evan said, we're not trying to avoid those towns completely. Just be aware of those challenges and make sure you have a diversified sales portfolio. Do not put all of your business in Brockton, Lynn, or Worcester. Make sure that you're diversifying your territory so that as your deals go in, if you do want to sell in those markets, make sure part of your team or you as a salesperson only has a percentage of your projects in those towns.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Exactly. Especially things that there's proven challenges from an installation perspective.
Absolutely. So. But on the other hand, you can spin that to be a positive, and you can go to your homeowners, right? You can go to these people that are sitting on the fence deciding whether or not to go solar. You can show them these areas saying, these people, even if they want to go solar, they can't.
Yes.
Right?
Use it in your pitch.
You can use it as a way to build urgency. Like, you don't know when your neighborhood's going to be turned off.
Yep.
Right.
Exclusivity, scarcity, urgency, all that is built into that micro conversation.
Yeah. So even though it's one of our bads, it can still be a good.
turn it all into a positive.
Yeah.
All right. So is there anything, there's one more?
No, I mean, that's all the bad that we got for now.
Cool.
You know, we'll
Cool.
see on the next episode what new bad there is.
Of
but,
course.
You know, I try and keep the bad limited, but the good though.
Yeah. Let's
Now,
see. Where's some opportunities?
Oh, so this is really exciting. So through all of quarter 4, September through December, 75% of our installs in Rhode Island happened within 30 days.
30 days.
That's crazy,
to
right?
the roof. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Super fast turnaround times. That's such a great place to focus and make your sales, just because, you know, when you're a new sales rep and you're starting out, right? Like going that time from when you make your sale to waiting to get paid on the commission can be so painful, excruciating. You don't know when it's coming. A good place to get your start, right? Or a good place to just keep you know, yourself fed and consistently is going to be in Rhode Island.
100%.
Right? 75%.
That's a huge number, and that's a very condensed timeline. Honestly, we talk about this a lot, like speed to cash or time to cash. If you're a sales rep who's knocking doors and you're needing to get into that cash flow position where you can start to build your life and build your sales career, Rhode Island is a perfect opportunity to get to cash within 30, 45 days. You know, you're getting those payouts shortly after an install that happens in 30 days. Your time to cash is fast. Another big opportunity is if you run a lot of leads and do a lot of marketing. You have a lot of front end costs when you're running leads and doing a lot of marketing. If your time to cash is 30, 45 days in a market like Rhode Island, you can turn out quite a bit more of cash received than in a market that maybe is a little bit more average of 45 or 60 days to install, because you're obviously not getting that cash fast enough. So if you're really trying to ramp up your marketing efforts, open Rhode Island as a market, run some leads and appointments there, let that sales volume increase, and get the cash into your bank account to fuel those increased marketing budgets.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, not only that, but like to capitalize on like Rhode Island, you know, 2023, you know, the utility rates were from 24 cents to 26 cents, right? Then you go into 2024 where the rates were 31 cents to 36 cents, right? So between those 2 years alone, that's a 37% increase in utility cost.
Massive.
Right? So that's like an easy sale to make because people are hurting over there.
Yes, a very big pain point. Also, the same entity that owns Rhode Island Energy owns Long Island Energy, and they just changed the time of use. So you can include a little bit of a hey, there is changes in the terms and conditions coming. So they went to time of use and you know, a not true one-to-one net metering credit. So you can use that in your sales conversations to make sure that the homeowner understands the urgency of going solar today, because when those terms and conditions change, the whole ecosystem changes, the whole market changes, and you can't go back in time and backdate your solar to get the net metering credits that are available.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So like, and then, you know, we're in 2025 now, and like we're only so far into 2025. So like I only have one sample to go off of, but the one bill sample that we did have, the rate was 40 cents.
In Rhode Island?
In Rhode Island,
40 cents.
Right? So that's an 18% from last year. You know, an increase.
So they've been they've been feeling and seeing the increases here. So we have very fast install times and increased costs over the last couple of years. That's a gem of a market right now.
Absolutely.
Hit it and hit it hard.
Absolutely. Get people to compare their bills from 2 years ago, right? So like from 2023 to 2025, you know, going from 24 cents to 40 cents, that's a 62% increase.
It's a great idea. Have them literally pull a bill from 2022 or 2023 and then pull a recent bill.
Yeah, it's such a good market. It'd be silly not to put any kind of effort there. You know, it's going to be a good return on investment. And not only that, but like, have you driven through Rhode Island recently?
A little bit.
Yeah. So like you see solar everywhere.
Yeah.
It's super prevalent.
Yes.
Right. It's not like the first adopters, the early adopters where people are dipping their toe in trying to see what it's about. Right. Like it's very known in Rhode Island already. So, and that's the thing too. That's why the rates are increasing, right? Because the more people that go solar, the less people are paying the utility.
100%.
Right?
100%.
Utility's not taking that loss on the chin. They're going to hike it up on everyone else.
Pass it off to the customer.
That's right.
So huge opportunity in Rhode Island right now. What else, Evan?
Well, so, I mean, we're still talking about the good, right? And we said 75% were ready in less than 30 days.
Yep.
Right? Well, that remaining 25%, I'm going to harp on it again, but it's because it wasn't a clean submission.
Gotcha.
Right? It was a Posigen deal missing something, or, you know, just a regular deal where an interconnection doc wasn't submitted, or we didn't have anything to get NTP properly.
Gotcha.
Right. So it's like, it's so important. I can't like emphasize it enough. Like,
going back
use
to the same
resource.
fundamentals.
Yeah. Use your resources, right? You have a resource page, you have account managers, everyone's there to support you to get these deals going as quick as possible, because the sooner we can install it, the happier we are. The sooner we can install it, the quicker you get paid. Everyone wins with a quick install. So get those deals submitted properly right off the bat.
Deal submissions. The best do the basics. The best master the fundamentals. If you're moving on to the last sale before shoring up 100% a clean deal submitted on the sale that you're on, you are shooting yourself in the foot. If you have 5 or 10 deals in a month, or 15 deals, or 20 deals if you're, running multiple guys, and you're not paying attention and making sure that every deal is submitted 100%, then your pull-through rate is going to suffer. And just imagine if you have 10 deals in a month and 2 of them get canceled, and then you go back to your team, or you go back as a professional and make sure the next month that 9 of those deals get installed. Your income for that month increases dramatically.
Right.
If your cancellation rate is 20 or 30%, you need 100% to go back and master the fundamentals of a clean deal and a clean deal submission, because your income is going to grow on the sales that you've already sold. And that's so important. If you want to increase your profit and your income this year as a professional, just make sure more of your deals get to the roof. It's as simple as that.
Right. And not only that, but like when you're not doing a clean submission, you're fumbling through the documents, you're fumbling through your closing, right? You're not going to be confident. And homeowners, right, they're going to start second guessing themselves if you're not confident going through this process. So make sure you know everything and you're an expert, because the more confident you are going through it, the more the homeowners will be like, I'm making the right decision. And the more likely it's going to stick on that aspect as well.
100%.
Yeah.
Evan, thank you. Do you have anything else?
No, that's everything.
Evan, thank you again. This episode of What the Data, I think we found some really great opportunities and definitely some things to avoid out there in the New England and Mid-Atlantic markets. We will check in next time on the next episode with some insights for mastering these markets and making sure more of your deals get to the roof and get paid out so you can make more and scale your sales business. We'll talk to you guys next time.
We'll see you on the next one.